Hi, thank you, Lana. So I'm Stephen, like Peter, from Kaleido, and we launched the Kaleido platform back in May, and we've had an exciting 6 months working with some of the most interesting and credible enterprise blockchain projects that there are out there. And we're really excited to see projects like I2I mentioned earlier with Union Bank getting to the point of real production this year. And there are a number of others that I'll talk about later that are really breaching past the stage of pilots and into real production use cases. And the use cases are really varied, which is awesome. They cover some of the standard things you've heard in blockchain, like post-trade settlement in finance. They cover supply chain. They cover healthcare. And we're working with all of those types of consortia. But there's also a huge long tail of really interesting projects in the over 1,000 chains that we're running on Kaleido today. But there's a common journey that we're going through with all of our sponsored users. And it's a journey from concept to try and get to a real, actual consortium which is delivering business value. And it starts with POC. It starts with understanding this radically different technology stack. Open source, containerized, using new programming models like smart contracts, new languages like Solidity, understanding that core technology, and then moving on to where the really interesting problems come in. You're building this permission chain, private, between a number of organizations, but it's no longer just your IT organization. It's across multiple IT organizations with shared responsibility for the availability, with shared project schedules, with shared data flowing between separately managed infrastructure. And then the goal is to get to production, and this is where we are with our customers, seeing customers relying on Kaleido to avoid any of those single points of failure that Lana was talking about earlier, to have that automatic high availability failover out of the box across AZs, to be able to run in a decentralized manner with governance that allows them to run these enterprise consortia across organizations, meeting the regulatory compliance across all of those organizations, as well as the IT requirements of each of those organizations. We'll talk a bit more about that later. But first, I'd just like to give you a really whistle-stop tour of the Kaleido product. This is all stuff that you can go and do in production on Kaleido today. So we're going to log in, and we're going to go and create a consortium. A consortium is the group of business organizations that are getting together to do the project. We're going to name it, we're going to define our business purpose, and we're going to choose which of the production regions across the globe in Kaleido we want to home our infrastructure in. We're going to introduce ourselves. Maybe we're going to establish a PKI-backed identity for our organization that proves who we are to everybody in the chain. We're going to go and create an environment. We're going to choose our protocol. We're going to choose our consensus algorithm from one of the permissioned specialist consensus algorithms that we have in the product, representing fault tolerance. Maybe we're going to anchor our small chain to the public mainnet to give additional proof against collusion. We're going to go and create some nodes. We're going to choose their sizes, choose how much throughput we want to have, maybe choose whether they're able to sign blocks or just maintain a copy of the ledger. And there we have a blockchain. It's a technical blockchain, but it's not really fully decentralized yet because one organization is in control of all of the infrastructure. So what we want to do now is we want to invite a separate organization to go and run their own nodes, their own data, their own keys as part of the same consortium that we're in. We want to use a decentralized way to pass on permissions, passing on permissions that you have to new members, maybe only passing on some of those permissions, but in a decentralized manner so there's no single point of failure. We obviously need to be able to then manage those nodes. We need to be able to see how much resource they're using, monitor them, and of course this is SaaS, so everything that you're seeing here today can be done via the API. All of this data, all of the administration can be done with trivial examples that we have in Kaleido to go and create these chains, automate them as part of your pipelines. Then, of course, you need to connect your applications and your infrastructure into these blockchains. Click through to connect, and you can see you've got the strong credentials there to connect in, as well as that integration option that uses a integration technology that we've open sourced, Eve Connect, to provide a simple REST interface to be able to submit transactions into the chain from any enterprise integration that you have today. So that's Kaleido in a nutshell. Let me get back to some of those use cases which are so important, and let me talk about one of those really interesting and novel use cases which is happening today. We have Green Fence Consumer, who are creating digital swag bags. digitally scarce artifacts that you can get by attending an event like Hollywood on Blockchain that we were at a few weeks back, or by going to a geofenced location and in conjunction with, for example, Sony on the launch of Goosebumps 2, be able to go and get this piece of digital artwork. But beyond just having this interesting, unique thing through a rich user experience, being able to actually prove that you are one of the select few that has this via a decentralized ledger on a blockchain. And Greenfence were able to get there extremely quickly using Kaleido because it was performant. It was there immediately for them. It was click button simple. And it ran and gave them the reliability that they needed to use this as part of the launch with these large media companies. And I've talked a lot about the chain, but what's so interesting working with all of these different projects is that we've heard a maximum of 20%, generally about 10% of the investment in these decentralized applications, because that's what they really are, is the chain itself. So what we've done in Kaleido is we've taken that experience and we've brought it back to this reference architecture here, where we're actually talking about what does a real decentralized application look like, because it's way beyond the chain. The chain's critically important. Of course, you've got the shared data there on the chain. Maybe it's just some proofs of something that happened off-chain. Maybe it's just some votes, etc., that's allowed you to have an irrefutable proof that something happened. Maybe it's more sophisticated business logic encoded in smart contracts, which is dealing with the full life cycle of assets. But beyond that, you almost certainly need other things on the chain, such as an identity registry. If this is going to be a permissioned network, everybody needs to know who everybody else is. And what better place to store that than on the chain itself? So we'd expect every enterprise permission solution to have that sort of identity registry on the chain. But to get the chain, you need infrastructure. And you need that infrastructure to be run in a cookie-cutter template across multiple organizations with decentralized ownership of the data and administration of that infrastructure, with the secure, private, isolated networking that allows the fast UDP traffic between these separately administered environments. And beyond that, you're probably, in this decentralized application, going to have a lot of off-chain data as well. You're going to have files, things much larger that can fit on the chain itself. You're going to have you're going to need to be able to share those files. You're going to need to have private end-to-end secure communications, maybe private transactions. And above that, each organization is also going to need to be running an application tier with APIs, caching layers, with identity masking, with key management. Now, key management's a critical piece here. With integration to their own IAM to be able to authenticate their own users, to be able to perform actions through the user experience and mobile application that they've got. And you're going to need app integration into your core systems, otherwise this isn't going to be a core part of your business. And each organization in the consortium is going to need to be able to run completely customized versions of these. So what we see is that they're either built through collaborative open source between the participants, or a consortium entity is built that actually comes together to be funded to build that infrastructure and allow it to be customized. So this is the pattern that we've just seen time and time again. And beyond just writing a chart, that's pretty easy. What we've actually done in Kaleido is we've taken this and we've actually built the full stack blockchain experience through a back button. There's going to be a back button here.
It's the red one.
Red one? Magic, there we go. Into the products. If you go to marketplace.kaleido.io, you'll end up here. And you'll see that we've built in AWS integrations into your private AWS account for private link networking, for secure backups, for portability of your data, key management, to be able to provide an additional layer of KMS security with a master key encryption on your keys. A growing set of partner services like OpenLaw that allows you to codify legal contracts on the chain. And those critical infrastructure components which sit above the chain but need to be decentralized, like an IPFS shared P2P file system. One-click deployment through Kaleido. In this case, I don't have a chain, so I'm going to click through a wizard to create myself a sandbox, have a sandbox up and running with an IPFS node there, add IPFS nodes, they're all going to join the same network. I can add other services like Chainlink, which is a decentralized Oracle platform, and we'll see what that means later, allowing you to get data into your smart contracts to run. And we don't leave you there to hang. We also give you a samples gallery to show you how to use all of these services. So IPFS, for example, here, this is code that shows you how to deploy, how to send a file via the APIs up to IPFS, get shredded, distributed across the nodes, and then you can go and download it from any of those IPFS nodes and have the nice picture that you uploaded. Or with Chainlink, to demonstrate how you could go and install a job spec into Chainlink, which says to the Chainlink node off-chain, go away and look up the price of Ethereum. On demand, look up the current price, pull it down to be used in the smart contract that we've just deployed there against the Kaleido chain, and then allow that contract to go and query that data, pull it on-chain where the smart contract logic is running that can't access the outside world, and use it in the execution of the smart contract. We've built all of this knowledge from working with really interesting consortia, and Comgo is one of the most interesting that we're working with. A group of 15 of the largest financial institutions and corporates in the commodity trading space in Europe got together, created a consortium entity, a new entity, to solve the problem of managing the finance behind supply chains. The letters of credits, the KYC needed to actually make these deals work end-to-end. Processes that take many, many weeks and months to complete, getting an order of magnitude faster through a decentralized application, reinventing the business processes, built on sort of blockchain and built using decentralized methods. And this is a really interesting story that you can go and read about if you go to the solutions section of the Kaleido.io website. And I'm also really proud to be standing here today after 6 months on the first day that Kaleido is out of beta. It's available, ready, production grade for prime time. You can go and sign up for free, use it in the starter plan, get started, try it, use it as your first blockchain experience or to get started on your journey with blockchain. And you can go through the plans all the way to plans which are suitable for enterprise grade production environments. And also, we're really proud with our plans that these are designed to support the ecosystems that you're trying to build in these consortia. So you can support having very large networks with different levels of participation in the same business network. So, thank you very much. I know that was a lot of information in a very short period of time. I wanted to leave you with a kind of call to action. Well, 2 of them, probably the one that you'll be most interested in. So the first is, come and see us at the Consensus booth and get a password to come to a party tomorrow night. So that's the most important call to action. And the other is go to Kaleido.io and go and give it a try. See that actually that blockchain journey from concept to consortium doesn't need to be as hard as you think it is. You can get going and get all the way to production grade very quickly. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Sridhar from Cisco to talk about the Cisco blockchain platform.